Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back, Championship Leadership Podcast. And today we got Justin Oglesby with us, just north of Jacksonville in Florida. So thanks for being here, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Nate. First off, I want to just thank you for your service. I really appreciate everything that, all the sacrifices that you've made. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Well, I know you've listened to a few episodes, so you might know what's coming here. But first question I like to ask the guests, because I always get a different answer, is Championship Leadership's the name of the podcast. What comes to mind for you, or what does that mean to you when you hear Championship Leadership?
What a great question. I can't think of another thought-provoking question like that. But the thing that I think about in our company, one of our core values is professionalism. And one thing that we kind of harp on is to be a professional in every single aspect of your business, whatever your role is with the company. We have about 10 or 11 employees right now. So, kind of managing different people in different roles. But the whole theme throughout the entire company is to be professional at whatever you are doing at any given part, or any given, time. So we feel like, being a professional is very similar to, being a champion, that championship type leadership style. My business partner, Zach Williams, and myself, we both hold ourselves to a very high standard in professionalism and also in leadership. So we feel very, clear on, the path that we are going, and it's our job to make sure that everyone else is clear on that path as well. So that's kind of like the thing that comes to my mind when I think about, championship leadership.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you familiar with this book at all? The War of Art?
The War of Art. I haven't read that one. I've been super into business books, but
Stephen Pressfield, he's written a number of books. Gates of Fire is another one. Beggar Vance, and then this was his first, essentially, professional development book. But it's one that I've been reading for years. But I only ask because I'm digging into this with some coaching clients, and also actually, essentially, the book is all about resistance and turning pro and being a professional, and how professionals don't allow resistance to get in the way. And I just made a post about it literally 15 minutes before this about professionalism. So that's what brought it to mind. So I'd check it out, and it's a super easy, fast read. So yeah, but it's
I'll
good.
definitely pick that up.
Yeah. Well, let's hear a little bit more about you and what you guys are up to, what you're doing, kind of the path that got you to where you are today, and tell us a little bit more about your company as well, if you would.
Yeah. So I think let's just start personally, and then we'll go into professionally, right? Absolutely. So personally, you probably not heard this much, but I used to rodeo and ride bulls when I was younger.
That's awesome.
Through middle school, through high school, a little bit through college. I was, I guess you can call it semi-professional. At one time, I had a sponsor who would, pay my way, and I would pay him a percentage of the winnings, and it was kind of cool. Somewhere along the line, I got hospitalized, and a buddy of mine was in a really, really bad accident, got paralyzed from the neck down. Wow. Around that same time, I was hospitalized for about 30 days. And in that time frame, I quickly realized how fragile life is and how much we all take everything for granted. Day 27, 28, to discharge you from the hospital, you have to walk up and down the hallway to make sure you can kind of get around. And I don't if you're listening to the podcast, I'm 5'10" and 170 pounds. I was down 30 pounds from what I'm at now, which was literally skin and bones. You could see my ribs, you could see my spine. So I was walking, and I had to walk because everything was atrophied, and I didn't have the lung capacity to be able to walk around. So I had to walk around in a walker. And I was walking up and down the walker and, up and down the hallway. And there was people zooming past me on their cell phones, just totally not paying attention, just distracted by life. And I remember in that moment thinking, you guys don't understand how fragile life is and everything that you're taking for granted.
Yeah, right.
And that kind of sparked something in me when a couple of years later, I was eventually starting, one of my first businesses, and that's kind of stayed with me ever since. Right. So that's, when people talk about reaching your low point and helps you get to high point and helps you just keep moving, that's kind of that for me Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Was that from bull riding?
So the hospitalization was not from bull riding. I was still
Okay.
riding bulls. I actually went over to a mission trip in India.
Okay.
Got super sick. I was able to get back to the States. Like I was like running a high fever. I didn't say anything to anybody. I was like, I'm getting back to the States so I
You
could go to the
brought COVID
hospital.
to the States.
So this was,
I'm just
yeah.
kidding.
So this was
Didn't
like,
joke
oh
about
gosh,
that.
a handful of years ago. This was like when Ebola was a big thing,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And so I went to the emergency room. They were like, hey, you probably have some kind of exotic disease. Take these pills, take these nausea pills. If you still are sick, come back to us. That means something's really wrong. So
Yeah.
I felt good. And then after a couple of hours, like the next day, felt good. After a couple of hours went by, I felt like something like stabbing me in my stomach. And then went back to the hospital. I was in ICU for 3 days. I was septic. They didn't know what was going on. All they heard was, like you went to India, you came back, and they were searching for these like all exotic diseases. They brought in like a disease specialist into the hospital.
Wow.
And long story short, after about 7 days, they figured out that my appendix had ruptured and they just didn't see it.
Oh, no
And
way.
so like
Whoa.
by the 17th day, they had like drains coming, like tubes coming out of like both sides of my abdominal cavity, draining like infection coming out. And it was just this big thing that could have been really quickly figured out, like, from like a 3D scan is how they found it. One
Okay.
doctor came in and he's like, what is going on? So he did like a 3D scan and he found it. Apparently like my appendix had like flipped over on side of one of my other organs. So yeah, that's that story.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
So,
then, so you have the realization that, man, life is fragile. It's short, not a lot of guarantees. And so, yeah, how does that thrust you forward into what you're doing today?
yeah, so that's the personal side. So starting in the professional side, I thought, my young professional career, I was like, you know what, I got my undergraduate degree. I need to go get my master's so I can do something with my life, like most other people think.
Yeah.
And went and got my master's and was just kind of at this job and really didn't feel like I was fulfilled. I didn't feel like the corporate, America was kind of right for me. I always wanted to do my own thing. And then going through the master's program really taught me like how to run a business. And so I used to rodeo and ride bulls, and I started a hat and a t-shirt company. I started doing my own marketing and advertising. Eventually, through a lot of relationships that I had in my local church network, business owners, they started, seeing that I was doing this stuff. I was like, hey, I need somebody to run my, social media ads and do marketing for me and, help me bring in more customers. So I started doing that. And one of the first clients paid me $500 a month. And I was like, hey, man, I'm going to be rich if I could just get like 5 of these dudes. So that's how that started. That quickly was, that was a part-time gig and kind of like a side hustle, quickly become into like a full-time hustle. Left my full-time job, started doing that full-time. And then somewhere along the way, we started noticing a lot of our clients, the lead generation is not hard, dirty little secret if you kind of know what you're doing. A lot of our clients were good at what they did on the fulfillment end. They just didn't know how to generate leads and turn those leads into appointments and having meaningful conversations so that it can close more deals. Right. So me and my business partner quickly realized that. And so now what we're doing over at Conversionly is we are helping service-based businesses who don't have a consistent way to generate appointments wake up to a full calendar each and every single day.
And so what type of clients do you have?
A handful of like marketing agency, roofing companies, insurance agents, mattress stores, chiropractors, dentists, really anyone who's a service-based business that needs lead generation and needs people to speak to.
Got it, man. Awesome. And how long have you Conversionly, is that right?
Conversionly, yes.
Conversionly. Yeah. How long have you guys been
so Conversionly has been around for about 3 years. We started a marketing agency about 6 years ago. 6 years ago. Yeah.
Awesome. That's great. Have you always been in Florida?
I have always been in Florida. Duval till I die. Duval County, Jackson, Florida.
All right. Oh, I love it. What who are some of the championship leaders that you've had in your life that have impacted you and really like, what are some of the characteristics that stand out the most?
Championship leaders. I feel like my faith is really strong. So a lot of the leaders that I look up to, my pastor, a lot of guys who are on the mission field, a lot of businessmen. I have a couple of close business men in that have kind of been through growing and scaling the company, have kind of gone down that path and then has lost everything and kind of building that back up. So just to see their experience and kind of hear it from their eyes. And my number one leader of all time is John Wayne. I love Western movies. I love cowboy movies. So John Wayne is the man.
Yeah. What's your favorite John Wayne movie?
The Cowboys. That's easy.
Cowboys. Okay.
Cowboys.
I watched a lot of John Wayne movies as a kid, like growing up, and I have not since, but yeah, I used to watch them all the time on whatever channel it was that was running those shows at the time. But John Wayne, how can you not like John Wayne? Yeah,
how can you not? I got a picture. I know you can't see it, but I got a picture of John Wayne hanging up on my wall.
Okay, I love it. The Duke, right? The Duke.
The Duke is the Duke. Yeah.
Yeah. Where's that come from, by the way? The Duke.
That's a great question. I think he's just a stud, and that's a stud nickname,
That's just right. Yeah. Yeah, totally. Awesome, man. Yeah, it's we all need those coaches, leaders, mentors in our life to help us, to be able to learn from, and to, like you said, the one that had it all, lost it all, and built it back up. Like, I mean, we all lose it all to some degree, some greater than others, and so it's important to have those people around you to give you maybe the certainty that, hey, like, I can get through this, I'm not alone, and also Absolutely. Just to hopefully dig out of it a little quicker than you would without anyone else in your life. Do you have anyone in your life that you kind of play that role to yourself?
We have a handful. So a lot of our clients are in places that we have been in the past, and we are literally the way that I like to explain it is they're in a certain position, they want to be in another position, and we have kind of been there, and we know the keys to success, and we kind of, like, they're on one end of the rope, we're on the other end of the rope, and we're kind of pulling them faster down that path than they would be if they were doing it themselves. So a lot of our clients were, I would like to say a lot of our clients were helping them, being leaders for them.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And I think, great businesses like yourself that truly do care about their clients just naturally take that role. So that's awesome to hear. What's the vision for you guys? What's the vision for you for Conversionly? Even like near future, right? I think championship leaders have incredible vision. They have courage to take action on that vision. What's the vision for you guys? What do you guys want to do? What's the impact you want to make?
Yeah. So currently our vision, well, let me back up. This is like what we're currently doing, where we're at right now. And then I'll kind of go into like where we're going to the future. So right now, really what we help our clients do is we have like a 3-step framework, from taking people who don't have enough people to talk to going and having a packed calendar, right? There's 3 steps. First step is lead generation, right? We are going to help our clients automate their prospecting, dial in your paid media. That's the first step, because that's the key. You got to have people coming into the pipeline to be able to fill the pipeline. Now, what a lot of clients face with, they may have their lead generation figured out, but they just don't know the strategies, the tactics, and the best practices to turn them into appointments, to have a meaningful conversation. So we have what we call our lead to close system. That's the second step. That's a series of steps that are proven to maximize lead to appointment conversion rate. Really, essentially what we're going to do is optimize the pipeline, turn as many of those leads into appointments as possible, right? So that's the second step. The third step is eventually, as you start to grow your business, you want to delegate it out to other people, right? You don't want to essentially be doing the grunt work forever, right? Yeah. So what we help our clients do is whenever they're ready, we give them what we call our fully trained appointment setter, to ensure that the people in their pipeline are going through the pipeline, moving fast and to the next step, so that their calendar stays consistently packed. So that appointment setter is someone that, we have sourced, and, down in Mexico, Colombia, Costa Rica, you're paying them, pennies on the dollar. And those people are trained by us we literally hand them over to our clients. They are 100% their employee, and they're working inside of their business, following up with people, calling, as soon as they come in, making sure they're doing all the follow-ups to turn those leads into appointments, right?
Yeah.
So that's where we're currently at. Eventually, I don't know why I said eventually, here in the next 6 months, we are building a software company, a SaaS.
Okay.
So what that SaaS is going to be around is optimizing even further that lead to appointment conversion rate.
Okay.
It's essentially going to be like an automation software where, we're going to use Google AI. And what we're going to do is when someone comes in, there's going to be like artificial intelligence learning the conversations. Now, there's still going to be the human element to it because that's super important, but the artificial intelligence is really going to pick up the efficiency. So as you put in more people on top of the pipeline, it can continue to spit out more appointments.
Okay.
So we're really excited about that.
Yeah. What's that like taking on? Have you ever done something like that?
No, this is the first time. I would not be in the position that I am at today if it wasn't for my business partner, Zach Williams. He is, so I'm more of like the sales and the marketing front end guy, and he's more of like the back end systems tech guy, right? And he loves that stuff, right? So he is really the one heading that up, and we're kind of both getting on, meetings together, making sure it's going where it's supposed to. But his background is in, software engineering and data management, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. And I know it's not it's a big undertaking, so that's cool that you guys are taking that on. I love it. And being really a leader in your industry too, right? Because you'll be able to will that software be something just that you'll use for your clients, or is it ultimately something that you'd like to really spread out?
Yeah, so their goal is, we have about 400 500 clients at the moment. The goal is, obviously that's a huge base to be able to, like, the launch of the software. Obviously those clients will be our customers or clients, hopefully. And then we'll eventually open that up to like more than just our clients, right? So people outside of the organization. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, cool. Very cool. Let's switch gears. It's one of my favorite questions, definitely to ask. And maybe you've already mentioned it. I'm sure there's other moments. So a critical moment in your life, kind of like that defining turning point. I call it the fork in the road, where, you trying to figure out which way to go. And a lot of people, especially in the last year and a half, difficult times, challenging times, they've probably had many of these moments where maybe it's your gut telling you the one way to go, and you kind of feel pulled by others, or maybe the safe route is to go the other direction. And just it's how we decide in those moments. Like Tony Robbins says, I think definitely truly defines your destiny, right? So is there a moment or two that you could think of where obviously you made the decision that you did, which has you where you are today, but that you could tell the listeners about, and so that they can learn from how you chose in those moments?
Yeah, I think foundationally, it kind of goes back to that moment that I had in the hospital where, I didn't know if I was going to live or if I was going to die. I didn't know if they were going to figure out what was wrong with me, or if I was going to deteriorate on that hospital bed. Getting out of that hospital bed and kind of knowing that I was going to be okay, but just like going through all the struggles of just, everything you're taking for granted. Like, I grew up in the South. I love John Wayne, like, kind of like that tough guy mentality. You never really cry.
He rolled bowls, for crying out loud.
But yeah, right. Exactly. So never really show emotion much, but dude, just laying in a hospital bed for 30 days straight, watching the same old Marvel movies come on AMC every single day, and just watching the sun rise, watching the sunset, watching the sunrise, watching the sunset, and you're just sitting there and you can't really do anything, and you're helpless, really. That was a really defining moment for me. And then just like walking up and down in that walker, like really kind of fighting for every breath because I hadn't like stood up in like 20 something days. Really kind of showed me, like I said, how fragile life is and how much we take for granted. Right. Instead of, coming home and which is nothing wrong with this, but like coming home and watching Netflix for 5 hours and then going to sleep, you could be doing so much with that time. And one thing that I really realized And in that situation that I was in, is time's going to pass regardless.
Mm-hmm.
What you do with that time that passes is going to determine where you're at in however many years from now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Your
Absolutely.
life right now is an accumulation of the any bitty little miniature decisions that you have made over the past 30 days, over the past 6 weeks, over the past handful of years.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And moving forward, if you realize that every single decision that you make, you're always either on the slide edge up or the slide edge down.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
So that realization is really, I think, what has allowed me to be blessed to be successful.
Yeah. 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 Thank you. That's a good distinction to make for sure. And I'm sure there's many people that come out of those similar experiences, whatever it might be, being in a hospital, being laid up and feeling defeated, and they don't take that and use that to drive them, unfortunately. Right. So fortunately for you, you did, and you can share that message with everyone else as well. As we start to wrap this up, what is, like, if there were one or two things you could give to the listeners that if they were to implement today would help move their life forward today, what would that be?
100%. So I always feel like your pipeline is the lifeblood of your business. Or, we're here talking about business, right? So the pipeline is the lifeblood of your business. And if you want to fill your pipeline, you got to have, leads coming in. You have to optimize those leads, and you have to turn those leads into a meaningful conversation so that you can help close deals. Right. Yeah. So what I've done for your listeners is I've actually put together a cool little training. It's at officialappointments.com. So official appointments with an S.
Okay.
.com. And essentially in this training, we're going to show you exactly how to build your own appointment booking machine, right? How to turn leads into appointments, how to generate your own leads, how that, it transitions to managing your own pipeline, and how to increase your conversion rates. So again, that's at officialappointments.com. I think that will essentially, we put that training together so that we can share with everyone what we are finding that is, generating the most success in the pipeline efficiency.
I appreciate that. That's awesome. So we'll definitely get that tagged up for the listeners too, so they can easily access it. And that's incredible that you put that together. So appreciate that. Thank you so much. What are a few ways that we can they can follow you, the listeners, and see more about what you're going on? What media channels would be the best, and all of that?
Yeah, so my top three: Facebook, I really hang out there a lot. Instagram and LinkedIn. I think on each and every single one of those platforms, I am just Just Oglesby, Oglesb as in boy, Y. So just Oglesby on Facebook, on Instagram, and on LinkedIn. Feel free to link up with me, send over a request. And if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer those.
Yeah, awesome. We will get that linked up for sure, and definitely go check out Justin Oglesby and Conversionly. And I appreciate you being here. Thank you for taking some time out today. It means a lot.
Appreciate it. Thanks, brother. Thanks, Nate.